Yo, what up friends, Travic here, and today I want to talk a little bit more about Path of Exile 2. As you see before you, Path of Exile 2 is 3 days and 5 hours out, and there's probably a couple of things that you as the player should know before Friday comes along. Friday is indeed right around the corner, and a lot of people have a lot of very interesting questions. The main and most important question that I've seen a lot of you guys ask is, how do I get access? Do I already have access? Do I indeed have to buy anything? Or, how do I play? I just want to play and I just want to enjoy the game. First things first, if you've spent a lifetime total of $480 over the course of Path of Exile's entire history, you already have access to the game and you will be able to play Friday, no problem. If you do not have access or you've not spent the $480, there is a link on the screen before you. I will include it down in the description and it'll bring you over to the supporter pack area. Here you can spend $30, you can get access to Path of Exile's 2 early access, and you can start playing with everybody else on Friday, no problem. Other options include buying any of the supporter packs, and the bigger the supporter pack that you buy, the more keys that the game will give you to give to your friends. There are also various giveaways on social media. People have a bunch of extra keys, and you never know, maybe your friend has an extra key or not. But if you haven't already gotten yourself a key and you need a key, this is the way to get yourself a key. And depending on what your budget looks like, you can indeed buy a key. Now, early access in itself is going to run between 6 months and a year. Jonathan said in a couple of interviews that he hopes it doesn't go longer than a year, but after early access is indeed done, you will be able to play without buying a supporter pack or without have bought a key or obtaining a key from a friend. So if you're not, if you can't buy a pack now or you don't have that ability right now, don't fret. In a couple of months, once everything comes out and it comes out of early access into a final release, you'll be able to play for free. Now, if you've already got an account or you think you have a key or you're not sure where to look for a key, the first thing you're going to want to do is check on in your messages. Inside of your messages, you're going to find an invite that'll look something like this that says you've been invited to the Path of Exile 2 early access. Or if you have bought a key and you need to redeem a key, we'll talk about that in a second, but this link will bring you over to a page that'll look relatively like this. This will tell you that you have early access, and if you need to check about where to go or how to do this, you come on over to your account will load you in, and then down here you're going to view, there's going to be a Path of Exile 2 early access button. You'll be able to click this and check and get your key. Now, something important to note, when you click on this, it'll bring you to a page with your key. You'll notice 1 or 2 separate keys. These are to unlock the client on Steam, and these are to unlock the client in the Epic Game Store. Now, if you've never done that before and you don't know how to do that, I'll show you how to do that. Okay. You're gonna come on over to your Steam. You're gonna come down here right behind my face. You're gonna find an Add a Game button. You're gonna press Add a Game, activate a product on Steam, and you're gonna put in your code right here. This will, on your Steam library, unlock Path of Exile 2. This will be available for download Friday when the game and the servers go live, and you'll be able to download the game then. Now, if you don't have access like this, and say your friend gave you a key and your friend's like, hey man, I want you to play with me, we'll have a good time, here's a key, and you say, great, where do I put the key? Well, there'll be a redeem page. I'll include this for you guys down below as well. And you can go into this website here, click on the option to redeem your key. It'll give you everything you need. You'll go into your account just like I showed you, click on your profile, go down to early access, and then you'll get your Steam key to unlock and play. Now, once you've done all that and you've downloaded the game or you're prepping to play the game, or it's now Friday or Thursday and you need to know what to do, well, Path of Exile's made an announcement. They said Path of Exile 2's early access is launching soon, and if you're looking forward to preloading the game, the PC standalone client will be made available for you December 5th at 8 p.m. Essentially what this means is currently as of recording, we cannot download and or preload the game, which makes things a little bit awkward. The game is, what I've been told, about 100 gigs, so it's going to be a very large game. It is going to take a little bit of time to download and to set up, and thankfully GGG is allowing us, if you want the standalone client, to be able to download it earlier, on Thursday evening. Xbox preload is already available to download and pre-patch or pre-set up from right now. So if you're on Xbox, you just get the game, put a code in, download the client, and get it all ready. PlayStation Founder Packs will go live 24 hours before early access. That should mean Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening, PlayStation can load them in. And then Steam, from my understanding, is, the day of. Me personally, I've always been a fan of playing on the, Path of Exile client. I will probably be downloading it Thursday afternoon because I want to get in right away on Friday. I don't want to be fiddling with Steam. I don't want to fingers crossed Steam works and the game downloads. So I know I personally will be downloading and pre-prepping Thursday evening for the Friday launch. Now, when the game downloads and the game is on and Friday rolls around, there are a couple things that you should know. Now, this next section is going to be a little bit of a spoiler, so if you don't want to see any more spoilers or see anything past what you've seen on the screen already, now would be a great time to skip ahead a little bit. But when you get to play the game on Friday and you load in, there's going to be 6 very distinct classes available for you to play. You see on the screen right now before you, you have the Witch, the Mercenary, the Monk. This is my favorite pick as of right now. The Ranger, the Sorceress, and the Warrior. Each of these classes is going to have 2 Ascendancies. Now, if you've never played Path of Exile before, or this is your first time playing PoE, you'll know that Ascendancies are this upgrade to your character. So a really good example using the Monk, because this is what I'm planning on playing. The Monk is the base starting class. You'll get the Monk and it'll be unlocked for you at level 1. As you progress through the campaign and the story, you'll be able to ascend your Monk into a higher plane of power. The Monk, for example, can become the Invoker, or it can become the Acolyte of Chayula. We won't go into too much detail about what these do because I don't want to spoil anything before the game comes out on Friday, or go too deep into spoilers because a lot is subject to change before Friday. Now, something really important to know with Ascendancies: once you pick your Ascendancy on Friday or Saturday, or when you get there, you cannot change it. This is something that you are stuck with. This is something that your character is going to be. And as in the current state of the game, or from what we know, your character will ascend, and that is that. So if you're like me and going to be a chronic reroller, or going to want to try a bunch of different Ascendancies, you're going to have to re-roll a couple of times. But that's not going to be the end of the world. I have been told the campaign is great and a lot of fun. Everybody's been hyping it up. All the interviews that I see, everybody says the campaign's a lot of fun. But the problem with the campaign is you, the player, as the first-time player of Path of Exile, will end up going through it a little bit slow. Now, without giving too much away from what I've seen in interviews and stuff, I've been told that the campaign for a first-time ARPG player is roughly 20 to 25 hours. It might take a little bit longer for your first character, but as we play through the campaign and as we play through characters and we start learning what to do, what not to do, get our alt characters extra little gear, the campaign in itself will pick up in speed, drastically. In Path of Exile 1, the first couple of times I went through the campaign, it took me a solid while, and now I pretty much can blitz through the campaign in about 3 or 4 hours. Not really a problem at all. You start learning all the little tips and tricks and hints of what to do. But with coming through the campaign and with leveling your character, note that this is indeed early access. So what could happen is you indeed could go to bed on Friday night. Your character could be cruising and rolling, and Saturday morning there could be a major patch or overhaul that'll just break your character and force you to redo all of your passives and all your ascendancies and all your things like that. And it is a real possibility with early access. So I just wanted to put that out there and let you guys know. But Jonathan did say in a recent interview with Zizarin that if you do indeed, have your characters, your ascendancies and stuff are massively changed and there are big reworks, you'll get a free respec. So respecing in itself shouldn't be too difficult if things are changed. Overall, though, while leveling your character, you'll come across gold and you'll be able to respec your character anyways pretty freely in the early levels. So experimenting with your character is heavily encouraged. Now, with the campaign and knowing that it's a pretty lengthy campaign, we understand that we can't re-roll our ascendancies. We know what class we're going to be logging in on Friday. We've gotten we figured out where to get the client, what client we're downloading, and now we wonder the most important question of them all: the end game and what I should be doing, or how do I prep for the end game, or how do I, what's next? What's after the campaign? What do I do? Well, we've learned that mapping is indeed the end game mechanic for Path of Exile, and if you don't know what mapping is essentially this large atlas that we'll be going through with all different areas, and essentially you'll be just exploring the world. You'll jump waypoint to waypoint. Each one of these little tiny waypoints will have a zone, These zones will be massive in nature, and you'll be able to just go kill a ton of mobs and get a ton of loot. It's the prettiest, simplest, most basic way to put it. You'll come to a waypoint, you'll click on one location to go, you'll visit it, there'll be tons of mobs. You kill all the mobs, you get a bunch of loot, and you just pretty much just get a bunch of upgrades. Now, while you're playing Path of Exile 2, it is very important to know that you should constantly be upgrading your character, and your experience will feel a lot smoother if you're upgrading your character. While you're playing, you'll notice that there's going to be a lot of meaningful items that are dropping on the ground and a lot of currency items that allow you to just upgrade your gear. I highly encourage you as the player, especially as a first-time player, to experiment and to have fun. Pick up currency items off the ground, use those items on your gear, mess around, and try to make some really cool gear. Essentially, what I mean is, while you're playing Path of Exile, you're going to come across basic loot. Now, we don't have access to Path of Exile 2, but we do have indeed access to Path of Exile 1, and I could show you what that looks like. Now, note, for this example of crafting and making your gear, Path of Exile 1 versus Path of Exile 2 is going to differ a little bit. But if you made it this far in the video, then you're pretty curious about what it is, or you've never seen it, or you don't really know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to use Path of Exile 1 as like a little bit of an example to show you Path of Exile 2. Also, if you made it this far in the video and you like what you see, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, because it really helps the channel a lot, and I'd appreciate it greatly. Or you could join the Discord, where we'll be talking about Path of Exile, and you guys can come hang out and help. Anyways, in Path of Exile 2, like I had mentioned, you're going to come across a lot of gear, or a lot of bases, or a lot of, just generalized gear. They'll not look the same as this, as there'll be new bases and new items, but the same general gist is there. Your items will be white in nature. Essentially what that means is, you see on this Sentinel jacket, the item is white. It has no property. It is not rare. It is not magic. It does not have extra lines of text. It is a white basic item, and these items will be important to your character. For example, for the monk, you'll pick up different quarter staves and different types of staves that will give you all kinds of different bonuses, and this will be really important to upgrading your character and progressing. Now, with your gear, you're going to be finding these little orbs that they'll be slightly different in Path of Exile 2, but these orbs will allow you to craft and create your gear, and you are heavily encouraged in the campaign and in the end game to use these to make gear. Essentially, all of the orbs will tell you what they'll do. For example, you could take an item and make it magic, so this will make it magic, and then you'll have items to just kind of like alter and change the nature of how these items work. And you'll be able to add more modifiers to them and even turn them rare. Now, we don't have a full list of all the orbs and what they all do. We've seen different things in different interviews. I'm not going to pull these all up and bombard you with all of the information on all of the orbs. We'll save that for another video. But while you're playing the campaign, essentially, if you find an item like this axe and you say, wow, this axe would be really good for my character, and you have the little bit of currency, especially in the early game or the early campaign, to make it blue or even to make it rare, you are heavily encouraged to do this. It will make your experience as the player 1,000 times easier. You'll be able to go through everything a lot smoother than what you were able to before you started doing this, and it is just really encouraged for you to do it. Now, as we progress through the campaign and we start doing things, eventually what's going to happen is you're going to find some sort of fragment. Now, note, we don't have access to Path of Exile 2. We're just talking out in general. You'll find some sort of fragments like these or other various designs that allow you to fight pinnacle bosses. The pinnacle bosses will be on your atlas somewhere. They will have their own special node, from my understanding, and you'll be able to go fight pinnacle bosses. These bosses have multiple ranges of difficulty, scaling from 0 all the way up to 4. So there's 5 levels of difficulty for these pinnacle bosses, and these will be the truest form of endgame content that you'll strive to get to on Friday or once the game comes out. You'll be pushing your way through the atlas, you'll be getting new gear and new upgrades, you'll be going through all the motions, and eventually you're going to want to fight these bosses, and these bosses will have really cool gear that will allow you to either trade with your friends or trade with the community, and they're going to be, from what I'm told, really rewarding fights. But those, once again, once we see the bosses, once we know how to do them, once we've experienced them, we'll make another video about them and we'll go into greater detail about them. But overall, I just wanted to give you guys a basic of understanding of what's going on Friday, what to expect going into it, how to register your game, where to download the client, what to know that's really important about your character and Ascendancy. Note that you can't re-roll the Ascendancy. Talk a little bit about the end game to give you guys an understanding of where we're going in the end game. And they just kind of just set you up to just, have a plan for the future. Outside of that, there's going to be plenty of updates for early access. We should be seeing 2 new classes relatively soon. Jonathan says that the Druid and the Huntress are coming out relatively soon, and we'll be able to play with them in no time at all. And Jonathan has also said in interviews that we'll be getting regular updates over the next 6 months to a year that will constantly keep early access fresh and pretty much get us the entirety of Path of Exile 2 before it is released to, well, the rest of the world. There are people that haven't had early access. But outside of that, that's pretty much everything. Log in Friday, get your snacks, and just have a good time. Don't be scared to re-roll. Don't be scared to explore. Don't be scared to just take your time and enjoy the game. My personal plan is, if you haven't seen the video, I'm logging in Monk for my first character, and I am going to be re-rolling every few days or maybe once a week. And I'm going to be trying all the classes, all the Ascendancies, and I'm going to find things that really suit my playstyle and my needs. And, I'm going to be putting out information for you guys based upon my experience. So if you like today's video, make sure you turn on the notifications, because I'll be putting out more content once Path of Exile 2 is out. You'll learn all about all the different acts and the campaign and the end game, the pinnacle fights, crafting, and pretty much everything that we can get our hands on. I'll get out to you guys so that you can help learn and, pretty much progress your experience for Path of Exile 2. But for now, friends, I am really I'm so excited. The timer can't count down fast enough, and I am ready to go. 3 days and 4 hours. Well, I hope this video was helpful to you guys. I'll include all the links that I used today down below in the description, and well, I'll see you Friday on the beach. For now, friends, have a wonderful afternoon, evening, or good morning, and I'll see you all in the next one.